Have mercy on me, a sinner.
Hey guys, welcome to my Magic 2014 review. This is just going to be a real casual review because, a Magic game comes out every year and I don't want to do a whole intro and all that crap. So I'm just going to keep it real simple. I have a cold at the moment if you can't tell, but I'm going to try to get through this without coughing or sneezing. So if you notice any awkward audio cuts, that's why. So let's get stuck into it. The single player is pretty standard, like every Magic game. Like, there's not going to be heaps of upgrades, but in terms of upgrades on a yearly basis, I think Magic 2014 has the most of them. The campaign actually has a minor story mode, which I thought was pretty cool. Basically, you're in Chandra, which is the fire Planewalker. You're looking for a certain enemy, and after going through the 5 chapters, you actually get to face the boss together, which I thought was pretty cool. It's a little bit of a twist. All the other duels and encounters you do, they're all one-on-one, but the last boss, because he's so hard, you get to do him 2-on-1. Each chapter has 3 encounters, which where enemy players are the exact same every time, so they'll play their monsters in the same order, they'll draw the exact same cards, and so every time you get to face them, you get to kind of prepare before you get to fight them, which is pretty cool. I like to be able to go into a battle knowing what I'm going to come up against, whereas the main boss fight for the chapters, for each individual chapter, they're more random. Like, they have the same decks, but their cards are always random, which again adds that extra degree of difficulty, which I appreciate as a boss fight for each of the chapters. Of course, after every chapter boss you defeat, you unlock the next chapter, and you also unlock the deck that the chapter boss had. You also unlock this one point that allows you to fight against a Planewalker, one of the original Planewalkers, and once you defeat them, you also get their deck. It's you don't have to defeat them to proceed the story, but I mean, if you want all the decks and you kind of have to defeat them, it adds extra gameplay, so, why not? Might as well have it in there. It's a pretty cool feature. I wasn't really expecting it or anything. Some chapters have really interesting encounters. One of them, for example, is that they won the match if they got 4 of a certain monster out, and they would win the match automatically. So they were never really attacking you or anything. So basically all you had to do was make sure that you didn't let them get the 4 of the same monster type out. So that one actually took me a while to do for some reason. It was probably the hardest one, and I ended up using my Chandra deck, the fire one, and I'd just keep destroying his monsters. But yeah, they all had different strategies. Some of them would just use like flying monsters or defending monsters, for example. So whenever you went into a new encounter, you had to kind of change up your strategy, change up your deck, and again, that was well appreciated because I didn't want an easy ride or anything. A new long-awaited game mode to the Magic 14 is a game mode called Sealed Play. So basically, you start off with 6 booster packs, and they all have pretty random cards in them. I think you can have 2 different decks at one time, and both of the decks I had a lot of unique cards, but at the same time, they shared a lot of the same cards. So you are able to customize your deck completely. So I think for a long time I used a mixture of water and fire, which doesn't happen very often, I don't think. But then when that strategy wore out, I kind of used dark planes and fire as well. So it's a pretty cool game mode for the hardcore players because you do get to customize your deck 100% the way you want to. Obviously, with the booster packs that you receive, and you get the booster packs by defeating every second new opponent that you beat. So the shit thing about the sealed deck campaign is that there's only 6 fights in the whole thing, and there's only 3 booster packs in that whole campaign. So there wasn't much time spent customizing my deck, which I have to say was a bit of a disappointment. But overall, it was good to see that in there. Maybe in Magic 2015, they'll make it even more expanded, which would be pretty cool. Returning to the single play is also the challenges, which are predetermined duels where you have one turn to win the match or you lose. They're pretty hard. They have casual and advanced challenges, but I haven't even touched them yet because honestly I'm kind of scared to. Those things absolutely kick my ass every time. There's also revenge mode, which has the 11 opponents from the campaign wanting to refight. It does add quite a few hours of extra gameplay, but it's kind of pointless. I mean, I never really liked the revenge campaign mode. If I wanted to fight them again, I could just do it. But they are a little bit more difficult, but it added a few hours of gameplay, which, you know, you can never really complain about, I guess. Multiplayer is the main reason to get this game, I think. You know, a lot of people will play the campaign just to unlock all the decks, and then they'll kind of never really go back to it. And the good thing about the multiplayer this time around is that they've kept it really simple. There's no plane chase mode, which kind of I never really enjoyed anyway, but they've basically got your two 1v1 or 1v1 or 4-player free-for-all matches, probably easier way to say it. They've also got Two-Headed Giant, which is a 2v2 match, and again, another cool feature is the sealed player online. So basically, your decks from single player run over to multiplayer for both the sealed decks and the campaign decks. So basically, I think that's the reason why the sealed player is very empty online, because I'm guessing most people's decks are still kind of shit because you only get 3 booster packs on the campaign, which does suck. I would assume that as you win more online, you would get more booster packs, but if not, that would be pretty shitty. I haven't really tested that out yet. Well, overall, I didn't come across any issues online apart from, you know, player behavior. You know, players would, obviously, they leave the game early when they're losing, and they make you wait the maximum time before you can have your go, which is shit, and sadly, it's unavoidable. But overall, no connection issues. I was connecting with people from France and Mexico and stuff like that. So, overall, the multiplayer is pretty good at the moment. The deck manager is once again improved. You now have the ability to customize your pre-made packs. You always had that ability, but sadly you still can't add cards from other decks to your deck. But out of the 91 cards in your deck, once you've unlocked them all, you can choose between them. So, you know, obviously I would keep my deck under 60 cards, because any more than that, and it's honestly kind of shitty. But you can also choose how many lands you want, and I'm not 100% sure if they had that in the previous Magic game, but when I saw it on this version, I was pretty happy that I could choose how many lands. And they also suggest a certain amount that you should have. So they say, you know, you should have 40% of your deck should be lands, and they tell you how many lands you should have, and that's pretty good if you're not a hardcore player and you need kind of help in that area. So yeah, I appreciate the deck manager, again upgraded, and awesome. They have also added some smaller features to the dueling, which just helps it speed up. Like, for example, instead of having to press attack with each monster, and sometimes that could take ages because you have like 20 monsters, you can now just press a button and you can get them all to attack at once. Saves a lot of time, I'll be honest, especially when you've got a deck that is made to have like 30 monsters out in the field at one time. Some of the decks are a little overpowered, but again, if you know how to use a deck, even the worst deck can be the best. Overall, this game was totally worth the money. Every year, you know, they upgrade and they make it a tiny little bit better. But personally, I think that this upgrade from 2013 to 2014 was the biggest one. And yet they still kept it simple, but they added a feature that kind of gives us a hint of the future, I reckon. 2015 will probably be the best one yet even, and I'll definitely get that. So overall, I give Magic 2014 an 8 out of 10. Totally worth the 800 Microsoft points I spent on it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching the review. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to talk about Magic, just leave me a comment and I'll make sure to reply. Anyway, see ya.